Hello everyone, welcome to Arleston Memories. My name is Angela McClements, nee Hopkins, and I'm the Telford and Wrekin Borough Councillor for Arleston, and also the chair of the Arleston Memories Group, which I set up with a small group of Arlestonites in 2008. Since then, we have gone from strength to strength, capturing Arleston memories each and every year. Arleston was a wonderful community when I was growing up in the 1960s, and those that lived in this vibrant, strong and amazing community of Arleston have so many incredible memories to tell. Life was hard at times, but there was a real sense of community, and everyone helped each other out in times of need. We have captured so many personal stories of life in our great community, together with lots of photographic memorabilia. And I'm so proud and privileged to be part of putting together this amazing collection of social history of our small and unique community of Arleston. This is just the start of an ongoing project which we hope will be passed down to future generations when we are long gone, so that they have a greater understanding of their identity, belonging, and hopefully shared values. Please enjoy these memories by listening to the many wonderful stories captured by residents of their life in Arleston, together with a vast and growing collection of family and community photographs, still treasured and loved by so many. And always remember, once an Arlestonite, always an Arlestonite. Thank you.
Ian and Judy Copeland here. We were married on a very wet and windy St George's Day in 1979. How lucky were we to be given 16 Harvey Crescent by the council, as it had been fully modernised and with full gas central heating to boot. We were sandwiched between the Browns and the Smiths, and firm friendships made there. We and Angie and Paul have such fond memories of them both. We moved to 30 Dawley Road, where we have been for almost 30 years. Ian, of course, is a true Arlestonite, born and bred in Woolham Road. But I am an outsider, as they say, but I feel I've earned the title too.
Hello, it's Stuart Waters here from 25 Festival Gardens. Just a recollection of playing football both on the Diggers Field at the bottom of the Dawley Road behind the shops, or on the field down Churchill Road, where many a time we would play possibly even up to 20 a side and make the last goal the winner when it was something like 25-24. Fantastic memory, great friends, and still friends with a lot of those people today. Thank you.
Barbara Lisco, nee Waters, from Festival Gardens. I loved my days growing up in the Arleston area. As children, we were lucky to play in the streets, making such lovely lifelong friends. The walks up Steeraway Lane and the Arkle Woods. No class distinction, just down-to-earth, hard-working people. Life is not always easy for many, but everyone helps each other over the garden fence, chats by mothers, and children playing together in the street.
I think I can't go through my memories of the estate without talking about the winter of 1963. Those of us who were about should remember, either with fondness or trepidation, I suppose. In those days, those few short months, you could walk across the tops of the hedgerows in Arleston Lane. We still went to school. I don't think the school closed, I might be wrong with that, but I do remember being there because we would make slides across the playground. They'd go all the way across the school playground. There was also sledging in, not in the cricketing sense, but in tobogganing sense. That we used to carry out Diggers Field. You can't tell now, but there was quite a slope there. And one thing I remember was we would slide down on bits of cardboard, but some people did have proper toboggans, sleighs, whatever you want to call them. And I do remember Joey Oliver being hit by one, and it hit him in the face, and his eye just ballooned up. And I relate this story because I saw Joey a few years ago, and I related the story to him, and he said I couldn't remember, but I'd always wondered what this scar was on my forehead. So that's my memory. I'm sure other people have memories of that winter.
Hello everyone, Joe Oliver here, always known as Joey in those days. I was born in the Wrekin Hospital in Wellington in October 1952 and lived in Hayes Road with my 4 brothers and sisters. I was there until May 1973 when I got married to Hilary Stiller from Mumbridge, whom I met at Walker Technical College. 49 years later we are still happily married with 2 lovely children and a grandson who is also Joseph, a name that has been part of the family for several generations. Our best man was Stuart Waters, and he still remains a great friend to this day. Growing up in Hayes Road with several other children my age was a great experience, playing all sorts of games like football, cricket, rounders, hopscotch and tin can murky. Keep Me Uppies and Wembley football with Graham Burrows, Roy Deas and several more great lads on the green by Churchill Road bus stop. Cricket against the lamppost outside Dave Pell's house, where the Guttridge's white Alsatian dog bit me because he thought I was playing with him. Playing football 15 to 20 aside on John Broad Avenue playing field on a Sunday afternoon, where ex-West Bromwich Albion and England footballer Jack Haynes used to coach us. Like most of the other children, I attended Barn Farm and Princess Street schools, and can remember racing to both Wellington Baths and the canteen by Austin's paper shop to see who could get there first, and racing back again to play football in the schoolyard. In later years, I worked on a milk round with Les Weston and got to know virtually every family who lived on both sides of the Dawley Road, as far as Windsor Road and Charlton Road. Mum would get me up at 5:30 a.m. every morning, and Les would drop me off ready for school at 9 a.m. On a positive note, even though my wage was extremely poor, I did make up for it at Christmas when my Arleston customers were always very generous with their tips. In fact, it was one of my not so pleasant memories which involved milk. I was doing an errand for a neighbour to get milk from Nagging's house on Dawley Road when I tripped up, landed on the bottle and severed the artery in my wrist. A very kind lady, Mrs. Noons, came running to my rescue with a large white bath towel, which was very quickly bright red. 2 hours later, after a visit to the RSI, I had 22 stitches to repair the damage. Oh well, I lived to tell the tale, and I still occasionally drive down Hayes Road, just for old time's sake. But it's certainly different now to those good old days that I experienced as a lad. How times change, and not always for the better, I'm afraid.
Another thing I remember from my school days at Princess Street was the fact that we were allowed to walk unaccompanied, some 3/4 of a mile, maybe half a mile, to have our lunch at the canteen. And it was quite a simple walk, really. So you'd walk up Princess Street past Murphy's, bottling plant, and then you'd turn right down New Church Road and down past the Christ Church entrance. And a number of things I can remember about the walk. It was the first time I ever saw a car with the prefix A before the numbers. It was a blue Ford Anglia. And I remember there was quite a dangerous road to cross, really, into High Street, because all the traffic used to flow that way, or it seemed that. So, but there was nobody to attend to you crossing over. they relied on you using a bit of common sense, I suppose. But I do remember the Polish delicatessen with all the huge sort of sausages and stuff like that hanging up in the window. Never used it until I was married, and I used to go and get, I think it was like a chocolate called Bacala or something like that. It was a very creamy sort of wafery type chocolate, so I remember that. But anyway, once you'd cross that road, you'd go past the barbers, and you'd also pass Jimmy Rollison's, which at the time I thought was a shop, because they used to have a window full of Kilner jars, which I used to think was a rather strange thing, just to sell one thing. And of course then there were other shops that you'd pass, Briscoe's and Harry Edwards, and then you'd turn right at Harry Edwards and go to the canteen. But across the road from Harry Edwards was a Chinese laundry that we used to walk past, and there always seemed to be very shouty voices coming in a language that was incomprehensible to me. It was good food in the main, apart from the liver, and then we'd all sort of race back so we'd got some playtime. Could you imagine racing anywhere now at a certain age after you'd eaten? But yeah, that was a strange thing to be allowed to do.
Winter 47, as you know, it was a terrible winter, and it lasted weeks on that. And I can never remember the school ever closing. Everybody went to school. Even sometimes the eating wasn't on, but you still went to school. I never remember a day that Princes Street ever closed. Of course, all sorts of rationing was on, including coal rationing, so you were struggling to reach your house. But on a Saturday morning, if you were down at the gasworks for about 6:30, you could buy coke. So many bushels of coke you were allowed. But the winter, that bad winter, must have lasted around 6 months, I reckon. Well into April, you'd still got snowdrifts about. It was one of the worst winters on record, 1947.
Another memory is when I think about the walks we used to have. So many places to go and be free. And one of the things we used to do was walk up the Arleston Lane past the monkey tree, maybe stopping off to climb up the roots and have a quick cigarette, and so nobody could see us. And then we'd carry on up and walk past what is now Toll Road, that used to be part of an old army barracks, and many of the eaves of the buildings were still up, so we'd mess about there a bit, and then you'd carry on a little bit further, and on the opposite side of the road, which is now Manor Rise, there was another part of the military camp, as far as I know, and it had a big water tower. Well, it was big to us, and you'd climb up that and frighten yourself to death, and then you'd sort of carry on and just carry on up the lane, and it was a proper lane there with tall hedges, and it was quite narrow, very little traffic flowing through it, so you just carry on walking, and you go down into the dip where the pig farm was, which is now the Arleston Inn, I think. And then just further on, going back up the hill, to the left was a mound. And in our sort of 7-8-year-old minds, that was the burial ground of the giant that had caused the Wrekin to become what it was, if you know that tale. Just a bit further up, you could then cross over the field. There was a cut across, and you could walk across all the way to Parker's Pool, which of course many people will remember. I never used to fish there, but we'd, spend time just throwing stones in, or if it was near bonfire night, you used to take bangers and light them and let them flow across the water till they exploded. What fun that was. It was really fun, actually, thinking about it.
My lasting impression of the infant school, anyway, was a girl called Janet Morris. She'd be about 60s, I suppose, and she used to get all the kids, and there was an outside shelter in the infant school, and she'd get as many kids as she could, sit them down there, and she'd pretend to be the teacher. She was a bit bossy, Janet Morris. But Janet, later on, the last time I saw her, was on the station when I was going back to Catterick, and she was going to a teacher's training college, so she was become a teacher, Janet did. So that was a lasting impression there, I suppose.
Hello, it's Stuart Waters here. I'm from 25 Festival Gardens. Sorry, I was from 25 Festival Gardens. Just a memory about the time that myself and Ian Coupland, another Arleston lad, went for a drink in the Arleston Inn and decided we wanted something to eat. So we sat in the restaurant, and the two of us, and we were served a lovely meal, not realising it was Valentine's night. Anyway, a few weeks later, his wife Judy was in the doctor's surgery, and a friend came over and said, "Is everything all right, Judy?" And Judy says, "Yeah, of course it is. Why?" She says, "It's just that I saw Ian in the Arleston on Valentine's night having a romantic meal with another man. Just goes to show, eh?"
Hi, this is Neil Dayas, leaving a few memories about Roy Dayas from Arleston. Roy, born in January 1951 and sadly no longer with us. So Roy's best sayings, he used to love to quote something from a childhood friend and Argo workmate who he worked with for many years in the 80s and 90s, Doug Fletcher, who was from down on Urban Gardens. And Doug once referred to someone as the thickest man in the old, wild world, which I think Dad just found hilarious and would quote many times over. A number of my girlfriends, he would say, "That smile will get you in and out of trouble." That was one of his favourites. And his best saying really by far was, "I'll only have a couple," or "I'll be back for dinner," which was every Sunday, and he was always late. Which reminds me of a story of Mum making 2 trifles one Sunday, which looked absolutely delicious and were full-size trifles. And Dad, being Dad, was late back from the pub and decided he'd have a sleep. And when he woke up after having his dinner and a sleep, he saw the trifle and thought, "Oh, that looks nice." So he ate a whole trifle. And Mum was out seeing her mum in the afternoon, so wasn't around to supervise him. By the time she got back, not only had he ate the first trifle, he'd also ate the second trifle. And that summed him up really. 1 pint was never enough, 1 trifle was never enough. He was all or nothing. He would give up smoking with no help, he gave up drinking with no help. And he really was a very determined person.
As it's coming up to bonfire night, a few other things. I remember we decided we found a tin of paint. It's had about a quarter of the paint in, and we decided we'd put a banger in and watch to see whether it blew the lid back off. Well, it blew the lid back off, but I don't know what the paint was made out of, but it came up in flames and dropped all over us. So we all had to go back and explain why we'd got burn marks in our jumpers and our cardigans and our trousers. Fortunately, nobody was too badly hurt by it all. And again, another thing in the orchard, there was a tree. If ever any of you have seen my Facebook page, the picture at the top shows 4 of us in a tree, and I was up that tree, and somebody lit some sort of firework that shot stuff up into the air and exploded. Well, I was up the tree while they did that, and the one exploded in my face, and I had paper burns all over my face. It was just crazy, but it was the things we did, and nobody got in trouble for it, and I'm still here to tell the tale.
I was in class 1 for a bit, just 2 or 3 weeks, and then I was whipped out to class 2 then, and I went on from class 2 and went into a lovely teacher's class, Violet Lloyd, in class 4, and she was absolutely lovely teacher, Miss Lloyd. She lived at Red Lake and used to cycle to Pensy Street every day from Red Lake. And I can remember once being poorly, what would I be? 9 perhaps. And because we lived along Watley Street, and she used to cycle past our house at night. Anyway, I was in bed, poorly, and Mum shouted up, "You've got a visitor." And up the stairs came Miss Lloyd with an orange. Well, an orange, 1947, 48, eh? Yeah. You didn't get oranges, did you?
No.
Miss Lloyd had come to see me.